my third or fourth year in college, I found out what a cut penis was, and I was like, wow, this looks different. And it wasn't a good different. Not saying the first two uncut penises I ever saw were not good. I just felt like it looked cleaner, it looked nicer to the visual eye from my perspective, and I just liked it better. I don't know. Hi there, my name is Marlene Morales and I'm 27 years old and I currently live in Miami, Florida. So I am Mexican American and I was born and raised in California, Central California, for 25 years of my life. So let's talk about something very, very, very keen and very interesting. Let's talk about male circumcision.
It's about to go down.
Right? How familiar are you with the male circumcision? You can give a letter grade of 1 to 10. Let's just say from experience and quite a knowledgeable base religiously and educationally, I'm about a 7 out of 10, okay?
Hi.
Okay.
Are you more familiar with circumcised or uncircumcised penises? With my experience, my personal experience, visually, I have seen both, okay? So let's just say out of 20 men, I've seen about 2 uncircumcised penises out of the 20. The rest were circumcised, correct? So I've seen quite a few more circumcised versus uncircumcised penises. All right, next question. When and how did you first learn about it, and what were your initial thoughts on it? So, when did I first learn about it? Let's just say I first learned about it early, like the middle ages of college when I just first enrolled, right? I didn't really have a huge thought about like, oh my God, he's cut, uncut, because the first 2 men I ever encountered and experienced with were actually circumcised or uncircumcised. Sorry, they were uncut. Let's call it cut and uncut, okay? So they were uncut, so I didn't know anything besides an uncut penis, right? And so let's just say my third or fourth year in college, I found out what a cut penis was, and I was like, wow, this looks different. And it wasn't a good different. Not saying the first 2 uncut penises I ever saw were not good. I just felt like it looked cleaner, it looked nicer to the visual eye from my perspective, and I just liked it better. I don't know. Yeah, let's just stick at that.
Oh my God! Wow!
Define what it is and when it usually happens for males. So, I learned in nursing school that it usually happens for newborns, but every religion and culture is completely different, okay? I cannot talk about what culture, when and how they do it. It just depends on the family as well. So, circumcision is the surgical removal of the foreskin, the fold of the skin, and it's what covers the glands of the penis. So, this top head is basically cut, and so then the head is completely showing. That's a cut penis, correct? So it usually happens, like I said, within the first few days of being a newborn. Like you just came out of mom and you're just the happiest or saddest and just you're fresh into the world, right? And the mother and the father decides, I want my son to be cut. They go through an extensive, quick procedure that happens within less than an hour. It's not complicated. They have 3 different surgical procedures, and voila, that's it. Nothing too complicated about that. I mean, it's a very painful procedure. I'm sorry, but it's just what happens in life. What countries practice circumcision besides the US, and what reasons do they practice it? At what age for the males? So like I said, every country, every person, living being, country, religion is different. But for my research, okay, I saw that Middle Eastern and North African countries, they circumcise around, for religious reasons like Islamic, often in infancy or early childhood, in some traditions at age 7 to 13 years old. Very early childhood. Then there's Israel, Jewish traditions. Circumcision is performed for religious covenant.
This grammar now, wow.
Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Covenant reasons. Okay, and this is where I was saying I read something in the Bible where early in the Bible in Genesis, it was talking about God was telling his people, please, to be a part of my covenant, you must basically be circumcised. And I thought that was really, really, really interesting. And this is Christianity, by the way. Now I'm talking about Jewish. It's usually done on the 8th day after birth, unless health concerns deny it. Health concerns deny it. Now, there's also sub-Saharan Africans is practiced both for religious, cultural, and issues rights and health promotions, HIV prevention campaigns. Age can vary. Infancy, some groups, adolescence is part of rite of passage into manhood, right? They believe that people in Kenya and South Africa believe that to be, into that, you have to be cut. So it's the rite of passage. Now, I also saw that South Korean and Philippines also do it for cultural and religious Catholic norms, usually performed around pre-adolescence, age 10 to 12, right? Now, next question. Why does the U.S. practice circumcision? Are there health benefits to circumcision, such as what? So, evidence-based health benefits per American Academy of Pediatrics, CDC, and WHO state that there's reduced risk of urinary tract infections, UTIs, as an infant. There's lower risk of certain sexual transmitted infections, STIs, including HIV, HPV, and syphilis. There's decreased risk of penile cancer, rare, but circumcision does actually lower the incidence. Okay. Also, reduced risk of cervical cancer in female partners. Wow, give it to the males who are circumcised. Okay. And last but not least, prevention of foreskin related problems. You didn't think about that, huh? You didn't think that there was going to be foreskin related problems if you were uncut. It's called phimosis, balanitis, okay? So, it just says right here, all right? While health benefits exist, circumcision is considered an elective procedure in the U.S. It is not medically required for all male infants, and parents often decide based on cultural, religious, or personal preference. Okay, this is all based on personal preference, ladies and gentlemen, and cultural and religious. So, this is my personal preference. A cut man, circumcised. Are you personally for or against circumcision? Has this stance changed throughout the years or remained constant? So, like I mentioned before, I was only used to a uncircumcised man in the first stages of life. But then when I got to late college, that's when I noticed more men who were circumcised, who were cut. So throughout my experiences, once I found out the difference between circumcision and uncircumcision and experienced it firsthand, sexually, arousally, whatever, I realized that I actually prefer a man who is circumcised. Now, throughout my years, this has remained constant. I have not gone back to an uncircumcised man since late high school, beginning stages of college. Now, I have not went back to an uncircumcised man for those amount of years. I'm 27 now. Let's just say my first experience was 18, 19. And then after that, it's just been complete cut.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
Would you have your own son circumcised? What age would you have it done to him? And what would be your reasoning either way? So, health benefits. One, I would definitely have my son circumcised. No doubt about it. You come out of the womb, you're getting cut, okay? Simple procedure. You won't have to worry about it later. You're young. It hurts boom, you're over it, you're gonna be fine, okay? I would definitely have it right when he's a newborn, right away. And my reasoning would be, one, because of the health benefits, and two, I just strongly believe in circumcision. I don't know how else to put it. It's like, yeah, I'm Christian, but at the same time, it's a personal preference I would want for my son. Within your family, are the males circumcised? Walk the audience through your dad, brothers, uncles, grandfather, male cousins. How do you know about this, or are you assuming based on specific reasons? So, believe it or not, I actually do not know if the men in my family are circumcised. Now, I feel like that's a very awkward conversation to have with my own family because, yeah, no, I'm not gonna call my mom and ask, hey, is my dad circumcised? Or, you know, is my brother's uncircumcised or circumcised? I honestly don't know. I don't even want to know because that's kind of weird. But yeah, I have 2 brothers and a father, so I do not know if they're cut or uncut, and I would like to stay it like that, okay? Last but not least, how common is the procedure in the US? Does it vary by state, medical coverage, whether parents opt for it, generationally? Have rates for the procedure increase or decrease or remain steady? So, from some research, I saw that among males aged 14 to 59 years old, approximately 80% are circumcised. Let's give it for the 80%. I'm just kidding. For male newborns, about 58% are circumcised during birth hospitalization. Okay, it looks like just a little bit of the majority prefer their newborn circumcised right after birth. Another source estimates the national newborn rate about 55 to 60%. So it looks like majority of what's accounted for, most men are cut in this generation. So great. Notably, like we talked about before, regional differences. In 2005, newborn circumcision was 75% Midwest, 64% Northeast, 56% in the South, and only 31% in the West. So circumcision is most frequent in rural states compared to urban areas, according to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Male circumcision. If you're a man watching this, ask yourself, I don't know how old you are, should I get circumcised or should I stay uncircumcised? You heard the health benefits. I'm not sure. Talk about it with your doctor, or yeah, but my final thoughts are, sounds like male circumcision has a lot of benefits, okay? Whether it had to do religiously, spiritually, health-wise, like I just said. I read in the Bible that, in my Christian Bible, Holy Bible, I read that in the beginning when God first made this world, he told everybody around him, to be part of my covenant, you have to be circumcised. So take that as you want. I just believe a man should be circumcised just because it's religious, spiritual, moral, ethical, whatever you want to say. I just believe that a man who has a circumcised penis just looks a little better, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in and talking about male circumcision.